when I came to the school, one of the things I always want to know is, how did this school get here? What is USM? Where did it come from? And I don't know how many of you know this whole story. I certainly didn't know it. I'm doing a little research and asking people and talking to people and looking at some of the literature that's been written about the school. It's a really interesting story. And I don't know if you know all about it, so I thought I'd share that with you today. The school, how many of you know how many schools the school came from? There you go. You all know that part, or most of you do. It came from 3 different schools. I thought that was really fascinating. One of them was an all-girls school, one of them was an all-boys school, and then one of them was a co-ed school. The guy up here, his name is Peter Engelman. I don't know if you've ever heard his name before, but apparently he was the icon of one of the first schools that started. And the school was first called the German English Academy. Peter Engelman was head of the school for 23 years. That's a long time. He was head of the school from 1851 until 1874. So he was a pretty interesting guy, and he was very, very popular. And the academy, and the German English Academy, flourished apparently under Peter Engelman. It was begun by parents, mostly German immigrants, who were very education-minded, and they were really pretty unhappy with what was going on in the Milwaukee public schools. But what fascinates me is that it began back in the year 1850 or 51. Do you know what Wisconsin was like back then? Wisconsin was a pretty rural place back then. But this group of citizens, this group of German immigrants, knew that this was so important to them, that their children had the very best education. What a progressive and important thought process that was, way back in the time when we still made most of our living as farmers. I thought you might like taking a look at these kids. How would you like to sit in that classroom? First of all, those are wrought iron desks. That can't be very comfortable, right? But look at how they're sitting, straight rows, everybody very austere looking. I don't think they were supposed to smile. Apparently it wasn't a very popular thing to do. And I want you to think a little bit about how different things are for you. Shortly after 1912, as we got into the time of the First World War, the German English Academy started thinking about their name. And the reason they thought about their name is that at that time, and my disclaimer to this before I say it is that I am of German heritage, as many, many of you are. So there's nothing wrong with being German, but it wasn't really very popular back at that time. Can anybody imagine why not? You were at war with the Germans. So imagine that at that time it was unpopular to be of German heritage. Or it was at least not something that people were talking a lot about. At that time, the school decided to change its name, and it became the Milwaukee University School. I love this picture. This is a science lab in the year 1895. That guy up in the front is scary enough, but look at the equipment around him. Looks like a torture chamber maybe in the front of the room, all those pipes. And I love whatever experiment they did to the girls in front on the left, right? Here's a look at the German English Academy in 1875, and the reason this is such a neat picture is how many of you knew that this was the very first school where there was a kindergarten in the whole country? This is another really neat thing. The first place that we had a gymnasium in the United States. That's really cool. I'm not sure you would want to wear those PE uniforms. Again, an indicator of how very progressive that school was. This one I showed you just because those are hysterical shorts. Aren't those fun? But this is the MUS now. They've changed the name. This is Milwaukee University School, and this is taking a look at some of the boys playing basketball. The school was really founded on some of the same principles we still care about today. It wasn't just about academics, although it was an extremely high-achieving academic school, but it was also about the physical prowessness of the boys and the girls. The athletics was important. The arts were important. And it was important for girls, too. Yeah, well, how about that? Teaching girls to shoot. You know, there you go. So that was really progressive. No, we aren't going to put this in the PE classes, so don't ask. But I thought that was a great shot. How many of you have mothers who come to school and help out? Do they look like that? Well, it was going on way back in the year 1924. There are the moms all at the school serving lunch. The next school that I want to tell you about started way back also. In fact, I guess there's a little controversy about which one is older and where they really started. So both of them starting very, very early on in the time of education, even in this country. And this school was Downer Seminary, and this was an all-girls school. And again, a very, very sort of forward-thinking place. The school was founded on academics and athletics, and they said they knew that that was important for girls, and obviously the group of parents who chose to send their girls to this school were progressive thinkers back in that time. This is a picture of the founder of the school. Her name is Ellen Sabin, and she did a lot of work with this kind of interesting. Her name is Catherine Beecher, and Catherine Beecher, you may have heard of the book Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah,
Maybe?
kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Well, here, the author of Uncle Tom's Cabin was related to Catherine Beecher. Catherine Beecher, though, this woman, it was apparently at that time somebody who was nationally known for her thoughts on education. And at the time of the founding of Downer Seminary, she heavily influenced the seminary itself. I believe she actually even traveled to Milwaukee and stayed in contact with them and was influential in how this school developed. Here are some of the girls getting off an interesting looking bus. I just thought that was a cute picture for you to see, back in 1949. And this, I love this. You know, you wouldn't want to take on that group of women. Huh? There's a red-white competition. It's field hockey. So field hockey was around way back then, before the schools came together. Yeah, go girls for the field hockey team. And they were having an inter-squad competition. Some of them would have been assigned as reds for the year, and some of them as whites, and I'm sure it even went beyond field hockey, and they would have been competing with each other. Again, something that was fairly non-traditional for girls to be doing even back in 1949. And how about this, in the snow? Yeah, they were serious field hockey players. This is a group of faculty from the next school I want to talk to you about. This school was the Milwaukee Country Day School, and this was an all-boys school. So this is a place that was founded just for boys, and they believed in teaching boys a lot of things. They believed in academics. They obviously heavily emphasized athletics, but it was broader than that. They believed that the boys should be disciplined and that they should be respectful and responsible. And guess what they did if they did something wrong, guys? Guess what these guys had to do? They had to haul around field stones. They were pretty strict, but you know what I read about this school that I thought was really interesting? They also were instructed to watch the boys carefully and look for positive things. And they were asked to make sure that the boys were rewarded and complimented and congratulated when they did things that were good. And that was pretty progressive thinking back in that day and age. The boys were also encouraged to do things beyond athletics. It was a school where they encouraged the arts for the boys. This is the MCDS football team in 1919. Another picture that I thought you should see is this very cool guy, and you don't know him yet maybe, but his name is Mr. Stevens, and he started teaching at Milwaukee Country Day School. And this is a picture of him in 1958. Isn't that interesting? This is a picture of him as a faculty member, and guess what? He still teaches here. He's in the upper school, and you're going to get to know him hopefully when you go to the upper school. And I've only gotten to know him just a little bit, but he is terrific. So now we are going to talk a little bit about this coming together. Here's a picture of the campus in 1965. You can see the whole upper school is missing. The upper school did not come to this campus right away in 1964. The upper school was not here until the mid-1980s before we actually built this and they were able to come up here. So let's go back to 1964. An all-girls school, an all-boys school, and a co-ed school. Could you get three more different schools? Very different types of philosophies other than, I mean, they had the idea of the strength of academics and athletics. They had all of that in common, but those are three really different approaches. And now they're told they need to come together. And what about this? They've been rivals. Not only were they different in the way they approach things, but MCDS and MUS, Milwaukee Country Day School, the all-boys school, and MUS, Milwaukee University School, had been serious rivals. So all of a sudden, oh, never mind, you need to come together, you need to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. What I really think is interesting about this is not only are they talking about the announcement of the three schools combining, but I just thought it was interesting to sort of give you a relevance of when this took place. If you look over on the left, U.S. searches for means to tame Saigon. You know what that is? That's the Vietnam War. So it gives you a little reference for what was going on in the world at the time that these schools were coming together, the early 19th. I just wanted to share this with you. And I'm trusting you not to go any further with this, but how funny is this? The guys apparently at Country Day School were so upset about having to let everybody in They bricked up the entrance. How about that? This is the kids. And they painted that sign. The rest of the pictures are just to give you a little trip down memory lane of what this was like once it became a university school. 3 excellent, very progressive schools came together. They came together with different philosophies, but how wonderful, what a wonderful lesson that they were able to come together and build this incredible school that you go to. And this is an incredible school. It is the very best school in this area. It's the best school in the state of Wisconsin, and it's one of the very best in the nation. And you should be proud to be in your seats and be at this school. It is an amazing place to be. I am so proud to be here with you because you are what makes it amazing. It's all about what you achieve as students. Here's a look at computer technology. We've come a long way. Those are some seriously heavy-looking computers. Good thing you don't have to carry those back and forth. Here's a look at 1985 at the upper school, finally brought up to the Ferry Chasm campus. That was an important piece. But apparently, I talked to an alum the other day, they weren't real happy about coming up here. That was a tradition for them. And look at how lovely and fabulous this school is. So you can see that you can change, and you can make things happen. And you can get over the feeling that I can't change. This is an incredible shot. I love this. I love the look of all the kids coming together. Lower and middle school students spelling out one. This is a great shot. Isn't that wonderful? Just love the looks on their faces. And there we go. This is what we do best. Don't you agree? This is what we do best. You have these relationships with your faculty members. And finally, here we are today in this unbelievable school. So thank you for letting me take you down memory lane.